What is going on? Welcome back into Reiter's Block from Los Angeles, California. I'm Bill Reiter. The show presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. We got a great show planned for you. Todd Fuhrman's going to help you make some money. We'll go inside the numbers on maybe the best baseball player of this century and a look around an NBA and its postseason that's been utterly fascinating. Ooh, easy for me to say. Happy Friday. That and more starts right now. A truly stellar postseason, a great playoff run for the fans usually coincides with various players elevating their games and cementing their place as real stars, big-time stars, emerging stars, or one-off guys who make a small mark in the history of the game. And we have had that in spades in this NBA postseason. Jokic has been an absolute machine. Lillard has been at times utterly incredible. Embiid, Rodney Hood. Poor Denver fans. So it got us thinking. With Kevin Durant at least temporarily sidelined, out for this series, we'll see in the next week where he's going to be, whether he's going to be available if the Warriors advance. We're wondering, not just for the Warriors, which we talked about yesterday, but who are the best players remaining in this postseason and who are their sidekicks, their catalysts, the key guys next to them as all of these teams survey an NBA championship situation that suddenly feels wide open with the question mark that is Kevin Durant. So we're going to do it. We're just going to go around the NBA, every team that's left, and we're going to give an answer for each of those questions. And we'll start with last night's winners and losers. The Sixers are perplexing. It's why I avoided betting on them last night. I say it every single day here on the show. I don't know which version of that team is going to show up, and I often don't know which version of Joel Embiid is going to show up. That player, that talent, and we saw it last night, he can be an MVP caliber guy. In this series, Embiid's averaging 21, 9, almost 3 blocks, and he's shooting better than 50% from the three-point line in the wins. In losses, different story. 13, 7, 1.5, and 30% from the three-point line for the Sixers, and not just, and that's the game they have to win, a Game 7 against Toronto on Sunday. The question isn't just whether Joel Embiid's going to be an MVP-level guy or just another disappointment. That is the question that will dictate whether they win going forward and whether or not they win, perhaps, an NBA championship. And one of the benefits for the Sixers is, yes, there's another guy in Jimmy Butler. And I think Simmons probably a part of this conversation too, who can be the catalyst and a key. And if he can be that, and if Simmons can be that, the Sixers can be incredibly dangerous. Remember, Jimmy Butler might be, even at his age, a max player for a reason. There's a reason Philly went out and got him. We forget he's a star this team traded for to chase a championship, not to try and make a conference finals. Last night, Butler was incredible. And in this, and he set the tone. And not just the numbers in the box score. His energy, his defense, the way that he gets in his guy's grill, the fact that he called out Simmons, who was markedly better as a result. In this series, Butler's doing 23-7 and 6. He's averaging 5 fewer points per game this series than Embiid and Simmons combined. Jimmy Butler, by far, the best player on this team. And he's not always likable, and he is edgy, but you can't doubt the fact that guy wants to win basketball games, something he hit on pretty candidly after the win.
I play to win. I think right now this is what I have to do in order to give us a great chance of winning. I think from game to game, hell, from series to series, the role could change. I'm cool with it. Like I always say, I just want to win. If we win, I'm good. If we don't, I got a problem.
And the reason he's the key is not just how he makes himself and his team better. In theory, he called out Ben Simmons, and Simmons last night, 21 points, not a single turnover. And Simmons was playing with confidence and with aggression. It's critical and it's key. For Toronto to try to beat back this Sixers team that keeps on hanging on as forces Game 7, we know in terms of their best player, it's the Kawhi Leonard show. You can make the argument, I was having this conversation today, that Kawhi might be the best player in the NBA, period, even when Durant's healthy. Might dive into that next week if the Raptors win. And if they do win Game 7, it'll be because their best player played like it. 31 points per game on 68, nearly 68% true shooting percentage. Only one of two players to ever do that in the postseason. The other was Reggie Miller. But we know this. He has to get help. And as much as I can point to Pascal Siakam and say that's the guy that has to be his helper, has to be his sidekick, for me it's Kyle Lowry. You are an all-star, at least you were. You are the second most successful Raptor in the history of the game entering this season. Buddy, you gotta be better, and a good game for Lowry can't be defined as not a disaster. They need some heroics from Lowry to get this thing done. All right, let's bounce around. For Denver, we know who it is, right? The best player on that team. And again, you can make an argument, a rising MVP candidate. It's Jokic. Jokic. The guy's been amazing this postseason. 25, 13, and 9. Oscar Robertson, we told you this the other day, the only other player to average 24, 13, and 8 in a single postseason. The difference being, Jokic is also shooting over 50% from the field. Not even the Big O did that. But he's got to get help. He's got to get some assistance. And for Denver, that's going to be Jamal Murray. A lot of people that I've talked to around the NBA the last few days keep doubting whether or not the Murray that we've seen is the Murray that's legit and whether he can keep it up. If Jamal Murray can play like an actual legit number 2 star on a championship contender, which is what he's done, they can win this thing. Now, the team that got to beat, Portland, who I'm always wrong on, I guess I was right yesterday. I've just disrespected Denver the entire postseason. Lillard is not just the best player on that Portland team. He can be the best player on the floor. And I love his game and I love what he's about. And we know what Lillard is. We know what he can do. But he has to have help, like all of these stars. And that's why the catalyst for this Utah team, or this Portland team, might be Rodney Hood. And not just because he had an incredible game last night, the 25 points, 67% from the field, made 3 out of every 4 3-point shots that he took, but because he's actually been really good in this series. By the way, last night, his performance, twice as many points as that entire Denver bench. Game changer for Damian Lillard, getting some help. And Lillard had a huge night, 32 points. Consider this about Hood in this series. 16 points, 62.5% from the field goal percentage, almost 60%, 58.3% from the three-point line. That is a huge jump from Oklahoma City series, where it's 3 points per game, 24% from the field, 27% on 3. This is the blueprint for how Portland's going to have to win playoff series and build a winner if they're going to do it. With anything around McCollum and Lillard, it is finding guys in the scrap heap, finding guys like Rodney Hood, and giving them a second chance and a second opportunity. And I know a lot of people are laughing at the idea Hood can do it again. He doesn't have to score 25. If he scores 15 or 16 or 17, it could be enough, and it's something Denver's head coach Mike Malone, certainly after that loss last night for his team, was well aware of.
As well as Damian played, you can't speak enough about Rodney Hood. Not just the impact that Rodney had tonight, but the impact he's had the whole series. He averaged 3 points a game in the first round. So talk about a young man stepping up and taking advantage of a situation in an elimination game. So, great performance by Rodney Hood. We have to be much better guarding him.
I like Portland. I like Portland in Game 7. I like Toronto in Game 7. Really quickly, we know this. We've hit on it. The most important player for the Warriors is Steph Curry, and certainly Draymond Green or Clay being the players that they can be as a huge contributor, as a secondary catalyst. For me, it's Draymond. He's been great in the postseason, and I got the same guy on both answers. Who's the best player? Who's the sort of the catalyst and the surprise player? James Harden. He's the best player, and he's got to show up in the fourth quarter and not just have a good game by creating good shots for other guys. He has to bend the game to his will in a close game. He has got to take over the fourth quarter. He's got to be aggressive and take shots and make shots. And the last one, the Bucks are on a break. They're probably playing golf somewhere. We know what Giannis is. He's probably the MVP. But don't sleep on the huge impact of getting Malcolm Brogdon back for that Bucks team. Has played a single postseason game this year, came back in that last game in that clincher. This is a guy who made the 50-40-90 club this year. 50% or better, 40% or better, and 90% or better from field goal percentage, three-point percentage, and free throw percentage in that order. And the list of guys who have made that is a who's who of Hall of Famers. Larry Bird, pretty good player. Steph Curry, pretty good player. Kevin Durant, pretty good player. Reggie Miller, pretty good player. Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Mark Price, and Malcolm Brogdon this season. Brogdon's return has gone under the radar like all things from Milwaukee this year. The Bucks have made an Eastern Conference Finals. They did it with relative ease, and they did it without, for my money, the second most important player on that team. Keep an eye on Brogdon and what he does for a Milwaukee team that was dangerous in the playoffs without him. Feels good talking NBA, right? Feels really good talking some NBA playoffs. I love that this postseason is interesting now with this wide-open sensation. It's what it feels like in the uncertainty that's happening with Kevin Durant. We're gonna talk this because we like to put a little money down from a gambling perspective with Todd Fuhrman, our guy, our Vegas insider. He's gonna join me here on the program. Writer's Block from Los Angeles, California, in just a minute. All right, welcome back into Writer's Block, presented by Stefan versus the Game on Facebook Watch. Todd Fuhrman is our Vegas insider. He is the host of the Bet the Board podcast, and I got his insight and his betting wisdom earlier in the day. All right, Todd Fuhrman, buddy, thanks for being here. What a pretty amazing NBA postseason so far.
You know what? I didn't expect this much entertainment and drama, especially in the second round, but you can't ask for anything better. 3 Game 7s. The team that I thought was one of the best teams from start to finish during the regular season, already securing passage into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think we're in for a tremendous weekend of basketball, and it all starts tonight if the Rockets can take care of business against the Warriors.
If you're one of those gamblers, and I know one of these guys who thought the Warriors were such a sure thing, you're just going to put 10 or 15 grand down and collect your easy money. How you feeling right now?
I'd probably be sweating bullets at this point. I mean, we've seen a major shift in the Warriors' odds to win the NBA championship just over the course of the last 48 hours, given all the injuries questions that are swirling about Kevin Durant. We know he's obviously going to be out for Game 6 and a potential Game 7, but would he be back for the Western Conference Finals? Would he be back for the NBA Finals? And that's part of the reason the Warriors have now moved into that plus 115, plus 120 territory. So if you loved him at minus $1.60 or minus $2, you have to really love him now, even without one of their key cogs.
So am I seeing this right? The Rockets are big favorites tonight.
That they are. I mean, this number opened in that 5.5 range. It's ballooned out to 7. The books I've spoken to, and of course it's still pretty early, seeing good two-way action here. A lot of thought process. Hey, this is the Rockets' best chance. We've seen how well they've played at home. And if it wasn't for stubbing their toe in the third and fourth quarter, those margins of victory would have been a lot bigger than what they were. Rockets win 16 out of 17 at home. Meanwhile, you look at the Warriors, there's that other school of thought. Hey, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson aren't chopped liver. They both go for 25 plus in Durant's absence in the fourth quarter of Game 5. And if this team really does have that championship pedigree, they'll rise to the occasion. But Bill, the biggest question I have is everyone who thinks that Golden State can be just fine with their starting 5, where is the productivity going to come from on the bench? I mean, there aren't guys capable of filling it up like we saw from those Warriors team when they were back winning 70-plus games.
Yeah, this is a dilemma for me because I have maybe 6 or 7 gambling rules that I constantly violate, and I lose money every time I do. And one of those rules is never, ever bet on a James Harden team in the playoffs. So I guess that means I want to ride with the Warriors. And I think you're right. I think Steph and Klay are going to be great. Draymond has been great. But who's even the 5th starter? Looney? I mean, I'm thinking Warriors. Do you want to talk me out of it? Do you want to talk me into a pass? Do you like it?
Honestly, I mean, if I'm looking at the number here, these two teams have played 8 times this season. Every single game has been decided by 6 points or less. Now, I know, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I think Kevin Durant's absence is properly accounted for in the point spread that's been adjusted. So while I don't think the Warriors win Game 6, I do think we ultimately get Game 7. The only way for me to look would be taking the points with Golden State plus 7.5. The one concern I do have, though, if Golden State is down double digits, let's say with 6 or 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, does Steve Kerr elect to rest a lot of his key contributors, knowing this is going to be a very short turnaround? We're talking roughly 36 hours with travel till the 12 o'clock tip-off on the Pacific Coast scheduled for Sunday. It's not like they have the late night slot Sunday night where Steph, Klay, Draymond, and a couple of the other guys would be able to get adequate rest.
Yeah, it's a great point. Kerr has really loaded the minutes on all of those starters. Couple Game 7s we know already in the books on Sunday. Nuggets, Blazers, what an interesting series. The Nuggets this entire postseason has been a mind bender for me. They're pretty nice favorites at home. It is a Game 7, and even though Denver's here, it's a pretty young basketball team. Who do you like with the spread on this one?
Well, what's interesting about these two teams is we've seen 9 of the 10 meetings between them this season go flying over the total. But Game 7, typically a little bit more conservative. Teams are slightly tighter. And when you look at Portland, this is a team that relies so heavily on the perimeter jumper. My initial inclination would be to lean under. The real thing that I haven't had a real time struggling with, I think I can count on CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard to put forth 25 plus. But do I really want to rely on Zach Collins to go for 14 like he did in Game 6? Do I think Rodney Hood can go for 25 again? I'm a little bit skeptical there. I think ultimately Nikola Jokic just way too much on the interior. I love how Jamal Murray has come of age. I would look to lay the points here with Denver, and I make a slight case for going under. I think this home court advantage is too much for this Blazers team to overcome.
I'm just writing this down. Don't bet the mortgage on Rodney Hood. Got it. That seems like a good rule, good rule to live by. Sixers, Raptors, and this Sixers team, it just depends which version shows up in terms of who you're going to get, what you're going to see. Obviously, the game is in Toronto. Toronto, pretty big favorite, 6.5, 7, depending where you look. What do you? What's the action you like, Todd, in that game on Sunday?
Well, I think this game is one of the age-old questions in the NBA. Do you like the sum of the parts, which in this case would be the Toronto Raptors, so you give them the edge, or do you like the individual talent and the takeover component that Philadelphia's starting lineup gives you? We saw their starting five all go for double digits in the pivotal Game 6 win. Ben Simmons looked much more assertive at the offensive end, being called out by Jimmy Butler before Game 5. We'll see if he can carry that forward. Joel Embiid showed flashes of brilliance we saw in Game 3 compared to 4 out of the 6 games in this series where he's kind of been an afterthought, dealing with whatever possible ailment you want to pencil in like a Mad Lib each and every single game here. Toronto, on the other hand, this is Kawhi's team. He has to go for 30 plus. Pascal Siakam's got to contribute 20 and 10 in my opinion, but the Raptors need somebody else to step up. Kyle Lowry has been MIA for extended stretches. Marc Gasol, I'm stunned that he hasn't been able to produce at a higher level. Will Danny Green rise to the occasion? So for me, I lean ever so slightly towards the 76ers here. I think this is going to come down to a 1 or 2 possession game late, and I really like the idea of putting 6 points in my back pocket.
Any value you see in the NBA title odds futures that are floating around out there?
For me, I think when you look at it, and I know the Warriors right now about plus 115, plus 120. So you can bet the field at roughly minus $1.40, which would theoretically give you, well, the Raptors, I'll throw the 76ers in there now, obviously, as well. But the Bucks and the Rockets, I'd be inclined to play the field against the Warriors. I think when you look at Houston, this is their best opportunity to finally get over the hump and maybe grab that elusive title. So when you see Houston anywhere in that 4-1 range on the low end, upwards of 5-1, I think the Rockets might be worth a tiny, tiny investment here.
All right, little bit of a shocker here for soccer fans, and a big one for my brother, who bet a sizable chunk on both Liverpool and Tottenham, that one of them would come out on top in the UEFA Cup. So party in the Reiter household, at least the Reiter household in Denver, Colorado. I know we got a little while to go before the match, but who do you like as you look at the odds start to come out?
You know, incredible, Bill. You look at the way the European landscape has unfolded, and we have not only Tottenham taking on Liverpool in the Champions League final, but in the Europa League final, we have 2 other Prem squads as well, in Chelsea going up against Arsenal. And the craziest part about it, the team with an inside track to actually top the table this coming Sunday, Man City, on the outside looking in. Tottenham, the real question is the health of a lot of their key contributors. I mean, they made things extremely difficult. A side that had trouble scoring goals up until that second half against Ajax. I think this game will be a little bit cagier than what people think. A high level of familiarity. Tottenham knows they don't have the firepower to match Sadio Mane and a healthy Mo Salah up front. So I'd be looking towards the first half under here. I lean towards Liverpool. I think they have the pedigree. And if you're talking about Europa, I'd make a case for Arsenal. I think they're the more complete team than what Chelsea will bring to the table.
Todd Fuhrman, as always, buddy, it's great, and it's great to be talking to you out back on the West Coast. Now we're having a West Coast conversation on Fridays.
Always a pleasure, Bill. And I know come November, December, and January, you're not going to miss that cold weather dealing with Gotham City.
All right, we're going to keep it rolling with some baseball. We're going to go inside the numbers on the guy, can you guess his name, who's either the best or the second best baseball player this century when we come back to the show here in just a minute. All right, Albert Pujols continues to break records, make history, and solidify his place as the best player, or if you like Mike Trout, the second best player of this century. We're going to go inside the numbers on one of baseball's all-time greats, and we start at the number 3 with Pujols' 2000th career RBI Thursday. He became just the 3rd player to achieve the feat since the stat became official in 1920. He joins Hank Aaron and Alex Rodriguez. Next up is 639. The RBI also marked his 639th career home run. He's now just 21 home runs back of Willie Mays for 5th all-time on the home run list. How about 10? In Pujols' first 10 seasons and in the majors, he reached over 100 RBIs each year. He and Al Simmons are the only two players to begin their careers with 10 straight 100 RBI seasons. 32 and 33 is next up on Inside the Numbers. In those same 10 seasons, Pujols hit more than 32 home runs and 32 doubles every single year. And finally, the number 3, not to mention, across those 10 years, Pujols was an NL MVP 3 times. He is tied for second all-time for most MVP awards in the history of the game. He is tied with 8 other players. And because we love baseball, because baseball and love go together, I broke out our sports date swipe machine the other day to find my true baseball love. All right, here we go. I've got everybody's sort of information in front of me. It's a very tough decision because I love baseball, but you can't love everybody. The Yankees are the Yankees. Don't judge us by our injuries. We're still the Yankees, baby. You really are. You're top 7 in both earned run average and runs scored. I love what you guys have been about. Who needs Luis Severino? I feel like I'm cheating on my Cubs here, but I'm going to swipe right. I'm with you. Let's I like people in pinstripes. Ooh, the Boston Red Sox, 3rd in the East, still last to win the World Series. You know, I'm not a big fan of my sports relationships, so I'm looking to the past. I want to look to the future. I want somebody who's committed to the now with me, and I can't sign off on everybody in this division. Sorry, Red Sox. Swipe left. You'll probably make me live to the regret. That's probably my loss. Tampa Bay Rays. I'm a sucker for the underdog. Come lay by the bay. We have Tyler Glass now. What else do we have to say? Nothing. You had me at poetry. Actually, you had me last year in August when you guys got red hot. You've been amazing all the way through. I think you're legit. I hope you can get it done. Not sure you're winning the East, but I like the idea of at least being better than the Red Sox. I'm in. Swipe right. Let's do it. Oh, the Mariners. What a nice story, right? Great start. Hit a bunch of home runs. Yeah, you're posers. And I say that, but this is love. I can't commit to everybody. Oh, the Padres. Take things slow. It's worth the wait. We have the Machado at third base and Hedges covering home plate. You know what it is? Everybody loves the youth and the young people. I'm attracted to the youth in this situation. I love the Padres. They could be last year's Braves. I'm in San Diego. Let's do it. Oh, it's the Twins. You're leading your delivery. You want me to swipe right? The Indians don't have, the offense we're used to. Hell no. No, Minnesota. I don't buy you guys. All right. Oh, the Dodgers, right? Seager, pretty good. Turner, pretty good. They're both struggling though. Bellinger, historic start. I am eager. Yeah, I am eager. Dodgers, I believe in you. My World Series pick this year. 3rd time's a charm. Let's get in a sports relationship. Oh, the Diamondbacks. What's more dangerous than a Diamondback? Escobar, not Pablo. Eduardo, not Pablo. You can't make Pablo Escobar jokes, Diamondbacks. I'm out. I need somebody with a good sense of humor. I mean, the Cubs. I'm a Cubs fan. Words are wind. If you swipe right, you better be Schwarber. Schwarber? Yeah, A, you're the Cubs, and B, any Game of Thrones reference works for me. Little George R. R. Martin meets the Cubs in my life. Yeah, that'll be a hell of a date. And finally, the Milwaukee Brewers. Yelich is amazing. Moustakas has been good. But I can't take everybody in that division either. And I think the Cardinals probably break out of their postseason lethargy of the last, 3 years? Sorry, Brewers, I'm going left. Some of that's just because you broke my heart last year. All right, Bill's big bet of the day. I love it when we get those cheers. A little bit of a winning streak. Thank you, Portland, for last night. Give me Warriors +7. I think they can win it. I don't have the actual guts to bet it, but I'm definitely taking the 7 points. I think the old Splash Brothers arrive and get the win. Keep that win streak going. Before we sign off, here's the action Sunday. Possible Game 7 if the Rockets win tonight, and I'm wrong. I'll take the Warriors in that game. Definite Game 7. Raptors hosting the Sixers. Give me the Raptors. Another Game 7. What a Sunday. Nuggets hosting the Blazers. Give me the upset. I'll take Portland. And maybe the biggest Game 7 of all, Game of Thrones. Cersei versus Daenerys. I think Cersei's going to win, unfortunately. That's it. That's all we got. Writer's Block presented by Stephen versus the Game on Facebook. Watch. We'll see you Monday.